Quick question. How can I tell if someone is gaslighting me? It's a term that virtually no one knew about 6 or 7 years ago, but then it suddenly started popping up everywhere. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but Google Trends shows that the term spiked for the first time right around the same time this guy was running for president. At any rate, it's since become so popular that Oxford Dictionaries chose it as one of the most popular words of 2018, and CNN's Anderson Cooper even has a recurring segment on his show called We'll Leave the Gaslight On. But with this explosion of popularity comes a lot of misconceptions about what the term actually means, and no one stands to benefit from that confusion more than someone who is trying to gaslight you. So, what is it? The term gaslighting comes from a mystery thriller written in 1938 and then made into a movie in 1944, starring one of the biggest stars of the time, Ingrid Bergman. In it, a sweet, innocent young woman moves in with her new husband. As time goes by, she starts losing her grip on her sanity. Paintings and other items disappear. She hears knocking on the walls and sees the gas lights dim, but her husband insists that there is nothing going on. Spoiler alert, it turns out that the husband has been manipulating her the entire time. By continuing to mess with her while denying her perception of reality, his goal is to drive her insane so that he can have her committed and gain power of attorney over her and her inherited riches. As far as old movies go, it holds up. But it also illustrates a textbook case of a very specific type of psychological abuse, where one person attempts to control someone else by denying facts, their environment, or the victim's feelings. The goal is that, with enough conditioning, the victim will begin to doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and perception, making it easier for them to be manipulated. The loony bin part isn't required, but that has actually happened. While most experts agree that this mostly takes place on a person-to-person level, it can also take place on a mass scale, like when, say, a politician lies or denies a fact that is plainly true.
I was against the war in Iraq, just so you put it out.
The record shows otherwise, but why is your judgment
The record shows that I'm right.
Or when one group denies the existence of something that has been repeatedly reinforced by hard evidence.
Let me be clear. There was no insurrection, and to call it an insurrection, in my opinion, is a bold-faced lie.
But one of the things that makes gaslighting particularly tricky is that, to a certain extent, we all perceive the world a little bit differently. Those differences often create conflict, and then each party tries to win that disagreement by reinforcing their perception over the other. What's more, experts agree that it's also possible for someone to engage in gaslighting without even realizing it. So we can't always define gaslighting by someone's intent. Instead, most experts state that there are a number of key warning signs to signal that this type of manipulation might be taking place. Number 1. Compulsive lying. The whole goal of gaslighting is to take control of reality, which means that actual reality has to be shoved to the side. That means any evidence that contradicts their narrative has to go away, either by distraction, flat-out denial, or doubling down with an even bigger lie. Number 2. Narrative of inadequacy. One tactic you can almost always expect a gaslighter to use is to reinforce the idea that you are the problem. You're too sensitive, you're making things up, you're crazy, and because of that, you can't be trusted to know what's true and what's not. But thank God you have them to take care of you, right? Wrong. Number 3. Intolerance for opposition. Part of building up this narrative of them as the hero and you as the burden means that there is little to no room for pushback, so they won't be able to tolerate anything or anyone that undermines that narrative. Be especially wary if the person in question tries to sabotage your other close relationships with people who may see things differently. Number 4. Projection. It's the classic I'm rubber, you're glue, or who smelt it dealt it defense. Mental health professionals agree that one of the easiest ways for someone to deny a characteristic in themselves is to put it on someone else, even when it's not even there. So if they suddenly accuse you of being manipulative or shady or anything like that, this could be a smokescreen. Number 5. Repetition. The old saying goes, if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth. Gaslighters know this and will frequently say things like, we've been over this, or how many times do I have to tell you, to try to gain the upper hand. Now, it's one thing to notice these warning signs in a relationship, but once you do, how can you keep your sanity intact? Or, better yet, how do you not get into this kind of relationship in the first place? Psychoanalyst Robin Stern, who literally wrote the book on gaslighting, says that the antidote is 2 things: emotional awareness and self-regulation. That means being aware of not just your feelings, but how those feelings can affect your perceptions and your judgment. Both of these are skills that need to be practiced, especially if you have been gaslit or manipulated in the past. First and foremost, you've got to be kind to yourself. You are the first person who can give yourself space to feel your feelings. And those feelings don't always follow logic. They aren't right, they're not wrong, they just are. Once you could recognize your feelings, you can turn around and examine how those feelings color what you experience. You can consider alternate perspectives and approach a situation more objectively without falling prey to someone who wants to color the situation for you. And when in doubt, there is no shame in talking to a trusted friend or professional for help. And if someone tries to undermine that process, do your best to minimize contact with them. And now that you've learned how to protect yourself, here's more stuff for you to learn.
If there's any topic out there that's got you scratching your head and you're too scared to ask, you should totally send it our way. Tweet using the hashtag #QuickQuestion or email us at questions@brainjoltmedia.com. Don't forget to follow us, and remember, quick questions don't always have quick answers.